In the previous tutorial, we learned how Messiah stores local keys and how to use that to our advantage to create additive animation. We essentially used the track as a slider to blend an animation on top of another. So here's another way to do it, and it touches on a couple of advanced features inside Compose mode. Let's go to File and Load from the Scenes folder our 12LeanA.fxs. Replace the current scene. As you recall, inside Compose, we have our track mixing back and forth between the two animations and adding this animation on top. So we're mixing our lean track on top when it's additive. Let's get rid of the track. Go to Clips, and let's get rid of the lean. Hit the minus key down here at the bottom. Now we have just our walk cycle again. Here's a different way to do it. Let's go into Animate now. And instead of blending into negative values, we're going to shift that so we blend from a central value down to an extreme left and an extreme right. Turn off our walk clip. Let's deactivate that. So we have our key sitting here on frame 0 to 30. Frame 30 works great, frame 0 does not. See, frame 15, go into Setup, and we will copy these setup values in at frame 15. It's okay. Oh, make sure you have something picked inside the hierarchy, and make sure it's on the body keys group. So we've copied a setup value into frame 15, go back into Animate, so now frame 15 goes to frame 30, and hit enter. Let's copy frame 30 to frame 0 so we have a good starting point. Frame 0, invert these values. The only value you won't be able to invert is the base tail, which is over 180 degrees. So just eyeball that. Make the tail point out to the left. Pick the head, not the jaw. If it's a positive number, make it a negative number. If it's a positive translation on X, make it a negative translation on X. On the spine, which is just a rotate, just invert the rotation, and so now we have a mirrored movement. So now home position needs to be frame 15. Frame 15 is also representative of our setup position. So we still have an additive animation on here. Let's see what things we run into. Go back into Compose. Let's create a new clip here, and we'll just call this one Lean. Lean is going to do the same thing. We don't change any settings here, but we copy that. So now we have a walk and a lean clip. Go to Tracks, activate our body here, create a new track for that, insert our lean to the scene. So our lean is blowing away everything because it's set to equal. It's using a position. Calculate where the local keys are supposed to start from. Set that to additive. Let's go to a top view and take a look at what's going on. As we scrub through the walk cycle, oh, how come it's not starting at the left side? Well, let's take a look at our local keys again. Local keys say that when we start additive, the local keys take whatever position it's sitting on and it adds its value on top. So home frame is not frame 15 where we want it to be. Home frame is here. So any value range that we move across is going to be doubled. If this is a 0 angle recorded inside of the animation curve, this is going to be adding more angles on top of the 0, and this is going to be adding even more angles on top of that. So if we activate that again, home frame starts at 0 here, and then the values that are stored are just going to make it even more extreme. Well, that doesn't look right. So how do we fix that here? Because we're going to be blending from frame 15 to leaning one way on frame 0 to leaning the other way on frame 30. There's a secret feature inside Messiah that lets you handle motion compensation. Up until now, motion compensation has been automatically handled by Messiah. It has a rest pose that it calculates where things go, and then it has the local keys which start from wherever they start at the beginning of the animation and add their values on top. We discussed local keys in the previous tutorial, so now let's talk about this special feature. You can only access it if you have the secret password and the knock. No, not really. Hold down the Alt key and click on the motion composite operator, this little plus or equal sign, with left mouse click. We bring up a little red value in here called CK. Now if you click through this, you got CK, GK equals C and G. What do each of these mean? Well, motion compensation decides on where you want the motion to be applied and how the motion is going to be affecting other motions underneath it. It makes a bit more sense as you cycle through. Usually you just click wildly through here until you find one that matches what you want. But here's what I'm telling you. If you go to equals, the values are going to be blowing away everything underneath. No motion compensation is applied. So it doesn't even apply the offset rest position. C means the rest position that resides within the clip. The rest position on this character is always going to be the setup position. So it's going to use the setup position in the clip. So in this case, home position doesn't matter where the local key starts. That's exactly what the equal sign does when we load up the track. But if we want to add motion on top, we still have to be able to calculate where that motion is starting from. So that's what the motion compensation does. G will use the rest position of whatever items are in the group. The rest position is a setup position. So in this case, C and G are identical. We are going to get the ideal blending going on by using C and G. So what's the next one? CK. CK means the first frame on the clip is the home position. This is default inside Messiah. Everything that starts on the first frame, in this case here, is going to get added on top, and we get the same problem that we had before. GK means the first frame that's sitting on the items that are part of our animation group are going to be the ones that start off as home position. So GK is going to give us the same result because we have animation sitting on the groups in the timeline, and we have animation coming from other groups, and that is going to be the starting position. There are some useful things that we can do with those GK and CK, but not in this tutorial. We know equals is bad, so we're going to set it to the clip rest position, the rest position that's stored within the clip. You can have different rest positions within different clips, but in this case the rest positions are identical and we can use those as blending. So how do we make this character blend back and forth? Well, we can't use the track mix anymore unless you want to set the time to 1 or 0, and we can continue using the track as a pose blend slider as in the previous lesson, or we can use the time as an actual movement. If we lock the time at frame 15 or 0.5 as we play through, then he's not going to change. But the minute we move this timeline down or up beyond 0.5, we're going to shift it to the left or the right curve. So we'll be using time instead to control how this character moves around. Now you can't overdrive time. That is, you can't make him access more angle than time can allow, because when we hit the end of time, it just repeats itself. So if we go beyond 1, it's going to repeat the animation again and again and again and again as we go up and down on time. So that is one disadvantage. But the biggest idea we have to take away from here is that the motion compensation options are available with an Alt left mouse click. If you want to get rid of those, you can get rid of those by just clicking with Alt left mouse on the motion composite. So now we don't have just add and equals on this clip. We can subtract the motion, we can multiply the motion by everything underneath it, divide the motion, add the motion onto everything that's greater than the values inside the other motion, subtract the motion from the values that are lesser than, or make them equal like we have as the default. So that's another option for our Alt left mouse click going into the advanced motion compensation. This clip will work for what we have for both items. If we need to set and mix the track, we lock time as a static variable with the middle mouse click to either 0 or 1, and then use the track to blend this negative and positive, or we make time an active variable and blend it back and forth. Let's go to the clips, and we will export this lean clip save current through the right mouse menu to the motion and call this one lean.mcp. Let's go to File and save this scene as 12LeanB.